Thanks for joining us today for episode 83 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is Laura DiBenedetto. Laura is a three-time founder and CEO and started her first company when she was just 19 years old. She is a success coach, a TEDx speaker, and was named a 40 under 40 winner at the young age of just 23. She's also a number one best-selling author of the book, The 6 Habits and Life Mastery Coach. Quote, Laura teaches how to create the life of our dreams without sacrificing what we love, unquote. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thanks. I'm excited to spend some time with you today.
I'm excited to have you. Thank you. Tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
I'm obsessed with frogs. I think they're really cool. I
Um,
didn't think that you were going to expect that, so I figured
Not
I'd
at
just come out
all.
of the dark with like a really random item.
That is very, did that start when you were younger?
Yeah, it did. I grew up in the country, in Massachusetts. Everybody had like 3 and 4 acres of land, and like all the shared backyards means that just I had acres and acres and acres of like woods to play in and everything. And my dad, he there was like a little pond in the backyard, and he went out there with some yard equipment and turned this tiny little stream into a big pond. Um, and of course, it attracted the froggies. So when I was a
Right.
kid and I was raised as an only child, I was bored. So my first real friends in life were frogs. And I was such a weird kid. I used to like grab the 5 gallon bucket from like Ace Hardware and like go down there and do frog inventory, see how many I could catch and stick in the bucket. Oh my God. So yeah, that doesn't go in the bio, but you ask for something people don't know. There you have it.
Awesome. So you grew up, you talked about Massachusetts. You grew up in a small city in Massachusetts and you went to Becker College in Worcester, about an hour outside of Boston. What are
Yep.
some of your best memories of your childhood and college years?
Well, childhood, honestly, like it's funny. We spend our whole lives, our whole adult lives just basically trying to recapture the best parts of our childhood. And, if you really think about that, you realize it's true. I'm no exception to this because the best parts of my childhood were outside. And I love being outside. It's my happy place. So, I used to play in the yard and, my dad, man, he's so cool. We had this big plot of land. I mean, to a kid, 3.5 acres is really big.
Yeah.
And given the third of an acre I have now, it's still very big. But the house was at the top and the yard just like went down and it had like a really nice slope, but it had like, meandering like paths so you could actually go down with the lawnmower and not flip the thing over. Well, when it snowed, he would actually he would take the snow blower and build me my own luge track. So that's awesome. Okay. And
Yeah.
that is definitely one of my awesome memories from when I was a kid. I was like so grateful for my dad doing that for me. And it was man, it was just really fun. I mean, I don't know, like there was a little waterfall back there, and I'd spend time with my dad outside, like flipping logs and this and that. And I got to part of my childhood was quite Pollyanna, and that I'd get off the school bus and my mom would be like baking cookies and stuff, and she'd be like, do you want to help? Yeah. And it definitely set off a lifelong love affair with not just the outdoors but also baking. So there's another fun fact. I'm a pretty talented home baker. I'm not going to go to the point of saying, oh, I'm really good. No, but I've never had anyone spit out what I make. They like it.
That's
So
positive.
yeah, it's a low bar.
Absolutely. You said, quote, I started a marketing company at 19, Vision Advertising, after freeing myself from an abusive relationship and a poor childhood, unquote. You were still in college at the time when this happened, Laura. How did those traumatic events motivate you to where you were able to turn, bad things that had happened into positive ones for your life?
Well, the abusive relationship pissed me off. I'm just like, you know what? You suck. I hate how you make me feel, and you're just a rotten person. So, and he was very like discouraging, and you can't do this and you can't do that. And I talk about this a little bit inside the 6 habits, but basically my mantra was just like, screw you, watch me. And It's just like, yeah, I don't need to be discouraged by you. So it was pretty negatively motivational. You can get motivation from positive and negative
Right.
things, but you know, it just, I don't know, being pissed off has actually served a lot of people really well because it's where innovation comes from. Like I hate that this problem is not solved. I don't like that there is not a solution. So I'm going to make one. In my case, I wanted to just be happy and independent. And I was really tired of feeling like I had a boot on my neck. So I wanted to do my own thing and, be truly sovereign. And that's where it all began, I believe.
That company, Vision Advertising, has now been around since 1999. You said,
Mhm.
quote, my 23 years of entrepreneurship have absolutely kicked my ass. Not going to sugarcoat it, unquote. Vision Advertising, does public relations, specializes in social media, website development, and much more. What are some of the main reasons you feel the company has been able to sustain such a high level of success for so long?
Well, the fact that I wasn't the one driving the success all by myself, like you can't single handedly achieve really much in life. It takes teamwork. I mean, you can't even have a baby without another person. You just,
Yeah.
unless you're Mother Mary, it's not going to work. But like, we all need other people. And the reason why I've been able to create a lot of success with vision advertising over the years is the different people who've helped me get there. I remember the very first person who helped me to create my first job for someone else and hiring my first employee and hiring a salesperson and then hiring my successor and just the hard work that she does every day. And I mean, I appreciate that I'm the innovator and I'm the one who finds the good people. And I can inspire people to do awesome stuff and help to like pull the best out of people. That's my gift. Um, Also, my other gift is getting out of the way and letting them shine. I don't need to be awesome. I need to find awesome and let them do it.
I found that what you just said is so important about getting out of the way. I found when I was younger and I was a sales manager, I wanted to do so much on my own because I felt like, oh, I know it better than everybody else. But the times that I let my assistant managers step in and do things, things went so much smoother and better. And it was just more of a team effort.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I find that sometimes a lot of people just patently like refuse to be successful because they just can't get out of the way. I remember actually before I decided to really strike out on my own and like just not have a job anymore at all, and just totally dive headlong into entrepreneurship. My very, very last job before I did that was working for this man. It was like a home, like a really elite home audio company. And my God, man was a genius. He really was, but he was the micromanager from hell. And he fired every assistant he ever had, and I was his executive assistant, and he fired me as well. And his son felt horrible. His son was actually very, very nice. And he called me later and he's like apologizing. He's like, I'm so sorry. He goes, you didn't deserve to be fired. He goes, you were actually the best person we ever had. You lasted 6 weeks, not 4. This is kind of a miracle. He goes, but my dad drives everybody out because he just micromanages and he won't let go and he won't let people do their job. And he's like, you're awesome. He's like, you made so many great changes while you were here, but he just can't stop meddling. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I remember he would go through the trash piece by piece. I mean, it was maniacal. I couldn't throw any trash in the dumpster. And I mean, I got to the point when he left the office, I would actually take the trash that I had for the afternoon. I'd keep a few token pieces in there so he wouldn't drive me too crazy and like put them in the trunk of my car. But it's like, you're insane. You're preventing me from doing good work. So, like I was trying to constantly create like these workaround systems to like help him to stop sabotaging his own success and my ability to help him. And I didn't cry about it when I was fired. I was like, well, okay. I think I don't need to be working for anybody because this sucks. I learned a powerful lesson from working for that man. I learned that I hate the word nomenclature because he abused it heavily. Every other word was nomenclature. So to this day, when someone says nomenclature, my eye twitches. And I also learned that you got to let people shine and give them tools to do it. And just because someone does it differently from you does not mean that it is incorrect.
Quote, I work with business leaders and entrepreneurs to fulfill their business and personal goals. I've helped companies start, expand, go public, and sell. Together, we solve complicated business and entrepreneurship problems while creating emotional and financial freedom, unquote. Those are some, pretty amazing things that you've done there, Laura. And what is the feeling
Thanks.
like to take a company from the onset and go all the way through to the end result to where they go public and then sell it for a large profit? How does that feel?
Uh, I wouldn't know because I have joined people for parts of the process, never the whole process. Actually,
Okay.
people will hire me. Hey, can you help me get my company started? Sure. Hey, we're already up and running. Can you help us take this public? Okay. Hey, I'm dreaming of becoming an entrepreneur. Can you help me transition? And a lot of times people will be just in that hustle period where it's like, okay, well, we got the company up and running. Now we just need to get to work. And
Right.
a lot of people don't always want support during that period of time. It's times of transition that people have asked for my support. So I own 3 companies. I'm not really actively involved in the marketing company anymore because I hired good people. Um, but coaching and consulting with people is something that I still do quite passionately, and I love it. I don't work with too many people at a time because it would just completely suck me dry, and then it would start to be joyless, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
And then I've got my other company that I don't know if we can talk about on the show, but I've got the other company.
You said, quote, this entrepreneurship isn't for the weak. Everyone wants to be your friend at first when things look promising. They think they can hitch their wagon to your star, but when things get challenging, and they will, only the strongest will remain. Everyone wants to participate in success. Few want to participate in the ugliness it can take to get there. It'll hurt, but your true ride or die partners and allies will be there at the top, unquote. How have you handled those situations of people that, wanted to be your friend as you become successful, like you talked about, and when that's happened over the years? And, what is one piece of advice that you would give someone who might be experiencing someone that is trying to hitch onto their wagon as they become a star?
I guess just deal with it. I mean, it's going to happen anyway. You can't just fully avoid it. I mean, you can try to pre-screen people the best you can, but if you have good boundaries and you also kind of make sure that your relationships are reciprocal and they feel more balanced, it's better. I mean, I've got really good boundaries with people, and I don't allow people to take more than I feel is appropriate or more than I actually want to give. And I've also learned to get better at asking, hey, if you want to participate in my success by riding my coattails, by all means, but you need to participate. And this is what I need from you. Can you do that? Like sometimes just calling a spade a spade. Look, I know you're not where you want to be in life. And I know you think that hanging around with me can help you get there. Maybe it can, but let's actually own that that's what's happening right now. Let's make a conscious effort to make this fruitful. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. And let's make sure that we both win. How's that sound? It's it's just better. I mean, people are sneaky sometimes because they just don't know how to be really upfront. And I think that's one of the gifts that God gave me is being incredibly upfront and blunt with people. And you don't need to be a jerk to do it. You can be incredibly nice about it and very reassuring and very warm. And it's like, I don't know, this ticks me off. I get people in my inbox and LinkedIn all the time. Hey, gorgeous. Hi, that's not my name,
Right.
actually. So I don't appreciate being addressed by my appearance because it reduces me to just what I look like. And the fact that I entertain you, that doesn't work for me. Can we possibly reframe our relationship? That'd be great. And most times people are really cool about it. They're like, oh, yeah, gosh, I'm really sorry about that. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Good. Now that we've established that this is my boundary and you've agreed to not cross it, now we can be friends. I have this one person who insists on calling me all kinds of pet names, and at this point I'm just like screenshotting previous conversations where I'm just like, yeah, I don't do that. I mean, I don't mind staying connected to somebody like in the social space or life space, if they're actually contributing something. Even the trolls bring a lot of value, because they add conversation, and sometimes they can make your biggest fans start to, come out of the woodwork and really advocate and really weigh in, whereas otherwise they would have been quiet. So there's a function for everybody. So I'm not too quick to just block people. It's something where I'm sure somebody listening right now is just like, well, why don't you just block somebody when they're creepy? Sometimes expression of a boundary is all you need.
Right. Networking concierge Michael Whitehouse said of you, quote, I cannot recommend Laura enough as a coach. She helped me avoid a costly mistake and has always been very caring, supportive, and objective. Some coaches are too soft, letting you get away with excuses. Other coaches are too hard, being too aggressive and rolling over actual concerns and triggers. If you're looking for a coach who's just right in the middle and who will give you a heart-centered boot in the ass, that perfect mix of not taking your BS, but making sure you feel cared for, talk to Laura. You'll be glad you did, unquote. How have you been able to find that balance when coaching people of, not having too much, not too little, and still holding them accountable?
Well, I think a lot of it is actually based on my personality. I'm a very loving person, but I'm also a very direct person. And I think that the proper way to love someone is to be really, really honest with them, but also build them up while you do it. So, in the case of this costly mistake, I didn't sugarcoat it or dance around it. I said, look, you're a good man and you're a smart man. And you know that this thing that you're about to do isn't going to serve you. That's why we're talking about it. If you thought it was the right thing, you would have taken action already.
Right.
So why don't we pump the brakes a little bit and think this through? And he's just like, yeah, oh my God, you're so right. And, nothing I said was overly harsh in what I just relayed to you. And it also wasn't overly warm and fuzzy either. It was just incredibly direct. And, I think most people are afraid to be really direct because we've been taught as a society, really, that being direct is rude. I would wholeheartedly disagree. If people can't handle direct, then they're not going to enjoy my company, and I'm okay with that. I'm very powerful and very effective in life because I am very direct. I ask for what I want. I help people to get a better result. I tell them when there's broccoli in their teeth. Like, that's how you have someone's back, is by being remarkably honest, and you do it in a kind way.
I've always been appreciative of the people in my life who have been that way with me, not the ones that tell me what I want to hear, but the ones that tell me what I need to hear.
Yeah, never ask me if you look fat in the dress because I'll tell you. Does this dress make me look fat? No, your fat makes you look fat. Change your clothes.
I think I heard that before. I think Al Bundy said that on Married with Children once, if I remember correctly. I'm a big Married with Children fan, so I think I remember him
Oh
saying that
yeah,
to
that
me.
was a great show. I used to have fun watching that. But yeah, you know what? You just got to be honest with people. And that's actually something I talk about in my book as well, is like being honest with people. I mean, even like people who fail to RSVP for things because they're so afraid of like what would happen if you say no, just say no. Like, indecision makes you annoying to everyone, including yourself. Make a decision and stand by it, and people will respect you for it, even if they don't necessarily like it. I mean, there's people who invite me to do things. Hey, do you want to come to my like Tupperware party or whatever? No, I really don't. Oh, are you busy that day? No, I just don't want to do that because it doesn't sound like a good time. Oh, how come? I hate things like that. I have to talk with people that I don't know. It's uncomfortable. And I have to pretend that I want to buy something when I don't. So how about I just save you the trouble? I don't want to buy anything, but I love you. I support you. I'll do a Facebook post for you,
Right.
and we can hang out another time. Would that be okay? Like, let's be honest. It's so easy.
I love that. You said, quote, I am allergic to sitting still, unquote.
Yep.
Please elaborate on that a little bit more, what that means to you.
Sure. Well, I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The H is not silent. It is something where I've had this my whole life. So even if I'm sitting still, my brain is still going, and I'm always like, oh, I got to do this and I got to do that. And sometimes it's actually exhausting. But I discovered that when I retired from vision advertising in 2018, I was feeling a little restless and I don't know what to do with myself because I used to be CEO and now I'm CEO of the dishes, and what? It was just really, really odd. So, I just started like fastidiously working on how to solve the why am I not happy problem. And I started doing research and whatever. And then I wrote a book, and then, I did all these things. And then, yeah, so my husband and I started a third company. And I have a hard time just being a lump. I don't know that I'll ever like retire in terms of the sit around and watch The Price is Right all day. I don't think I'll ever do that. I think, I'll probably be working till the day I'm dead. And work at that point could be being part of my local garden club and like making like little baskets for, I don't know, little kids to raise money or something. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm 80. I don't even know what I'm going to do when I'm 45, but like, sitting still to me is just such a waste of life. I mean, there's a difference between stillness and rest, and just being a bump. And I can't be a bump. And in fact, candidly, I struggle with stillness and rest as well. The problem with the ADHD brain, it's not a lot of problems, to be honest with you, but one of the ones that's very difficult for people who have this is all day long, my brain is forced to basically cooperate, right? My brain right now is paying attention to this conversation with you, but it's like constantly getting these little pings of like, oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to do that. You forgot this. You got to call this person. Why haven't you called your mother? Like there's a million things. And like, oh yeah, you said you were going to mop the floor today. And it's like, it's all the I wannas and the I gottas. And oh yeah, you got to remember this one. Oh yeah, it's your best friend's birthday today. It's everything, right? At nighttime, the lights are off, the TV is off, the phone is off. And then all of these thoughts show up, bong, bong. Hi, remember me? Let's think about all of it right now. So it makes it very difficult for folks like myself to sleep and have really good quality sleep in their life. This is something I started working on pretty adamantly in my 20s. So I don't struggle with that. Occasionally it'll happen, but I know how to squash it down. Meditation is definitely one of the harder things for folks like myself to do. It can be done. You just have to modify it and just let your mind wander and just be okay with it and just go off in space and just let it happen instead of fighting it. But yeah, stillness is a beautiful thing. It's really just being present and being okay with what is and just in the being of life instead of the doing of life. And it's important to have that, but also it's important to fully express yourself. I think it's really important to be fully expressed as a creative human who came here to do stuff and live life and see things and have adventures and have moments that take your breath away. And if you're just sitting on your couch every day, you're not doing any of the things that God gave you life to do.
Tell us a little bit about the ammo company that you and Amadeo started.
Oh, we can talk about it.
Yeah, you can talk about that.
Okay. So the ammo company is it is a product of actually the pandemic and all of the restrictions. We didn't care for those very much. And we also noticed that there was a lot of crime where we were living at the time. And my husband, former military, he's also a very manly man. He wants to be the man of the house and protect his wife and protect the castle. And the castle contains 2 kitties and a doggy. So he wants to protect, all the citizens. And he couldn't. We lived in Hawaii. It was really lovely. But being on an island 2,500 miles away from everything, when supplies are kind of not entirely reliable and people are running out of money, it can be a little scary. They don't really honor and respect the Second Amendment in Hawaii at all. They're kind of famous for that. And getting firearms, no. You can get a rifle, you can get a lever action. And we did. But ammo, yeah, right. Like we had to like practically promise our firstborn just to get a box of ammo. And he's like, this is ridiculous. So we decided to move away. We currently live in the free state of Florida in incredibly windy Jacksonville right now. It's the middle of a hurricane today. And we came here because we not only cherish our freedom, but he also wanted to be able to do the manly thing and protect his wife and protect his little fur babies, and make sure that no harm would come to us. And the more he started thinking about wanting to provide that kind of protection, the more he was just like, I bet you I could make ammo for us. I can probably just like pick up some stuff at the, I can probably pick up shells off the ground and whatever. But, he was like, wait a minute. there's other people who have this problem, and my career was destroyed because of all these stupid lockdowns. What if, what if instead of making ammo just to protect ourselves, I actually helped other people and other families and other law enforcement to protect their communities and their loved ones? What if I made ammo as my new job? So he got going, and then he's like, hey, you should invest in me. And I'm like, all right, well, let me do the math. I knew he'd never write a business plan. That's not his thing, but it's mine. So I actually did the math, and I wrote a comprehensive business plan and figuring out like how are we going to get there and what are we going to do. And I went all in. I was like, you know what? Not only would I like to work with you because I love you and you're my favorite person, I think there's a lot of really admirable patriotism here. And if the bad guys have guns and ammo, the good guys should have guns and ammo. And I'm not going to sell you the guns, but I'll certainly sell you the ammo. And, you know, my husband ended up doing all the research and all of the education to become an incredibly, incredibly talented manufacturer. So we ended up investing in machinery, and we ended up investing in all kinds of wonderful all new manufacturer materials. So people are like, oh, are you resellers? No, we actually make it. Like we get all of the components, we get the powder, we get brand new casings, we get all the primers and, you know, assorted projectiles. And, you know, he makes the ammunition. In fact, right now, what we're doing, I'm tired because I've been talking to so many people about, hey, want to invest in my company? Hey, want to invest in my company? Because we're doing round one of funding. Because we really want to take this company to the moon. Like we can be huge. And I'm very excited about our company because I get the question all the time, well, what makes your ammo so special? Why are you different from everybody else? I swear to God, I get the question at least once a day. I have three answers. One, very few Second Amendment businesses are run by women. I'm the CEO of this company, proudly. Number two, we have a strong community of America-loving patriots, and a big, big part of what we're here to do is create a social impact where we are helping Americans to maintain their Second Amendment rights and be able to protect their families or go kill dinner or go to the range and have fun or whatever it is. Like there's a reason it was actually enshrined into the amendments. And that's something that we're really passionately creating. There's also a big part of this, a big part of the people who buy ammo from us. They are feeling so powerless to be able to change the direction of the company to one of good old-fashioned values where families are respectful and you know, God is in the home, and you know, people have manners and people feel safe and protected and community sticks together. And I'm very, very proud to help all these folks come together as a group, start to find their voice, shaky as it may be, and not be powerless, and give people an opportunity to like meet other people, not feel so hated and not feel so discriminated against. And, you know, that's really huge. So the community is a huge part of it. And number three, our quality standards are through the roof. There's a lot of really big name brand ammunition out there that doesn't cycle correctly. It's really inconsistent. You won't be grouping your shots really well when you're going to the range and having fun. I want to be clear. I do my hunting at the grocery store. I don't ever want to discharge my weapon at a human. I discharge it at a piece of paper. And if that's what I'm going to do, I very much would like for it to be accurate, and I would like to blow tiny holes in the paper that are very close together. Okay, that's called grouping. And if you are working with inferior ammunition, sometimes some of the primers are seated incorrectly. That's a threat to your health and somebody else's. You could be injured. It could be fatal. Things misfire. There's jams that can happen. You can get squibs. You can basically destroy your expensive and wonderful firearms. You can have all kinds of problems. And, you know, we have an 8-part quality control process that begins with the component selection and component integration process of like what goes with what. You can't just stick any old primer with any old powder and expect it to do what you want it to do. Performance is huge. So between those things, the actual manufacturing and the quality control, we have a product that performs consistently, and it's high quality and people love it. And our customers always come back, which is a win. They don't always come back a lot because some people have different shooting habits, but you know, it's a wonderful business to be in. And I think that some folks are probably surprised, like, oh, you wrote a book about happiness. What the hell are you doing with ammo? Well, I care about sovereignty. And with my book, I help people to have their spiritual and emotional sovereignty to be truly free of all of the stuff that burdens them mentally. And constitutional sovereignty matters, and my marketing company, it's all about financial sovereignty. So are they really all that unrelated? I don't think so.
Well, it's not about what you want to have or do, it's who you want to be. If you can shift your thinking in that one critical area, you can change your life, unquote. Why do so many people have such a hard time with the mindset to, change their way of thinking, even when it can improve their lives?
Oh, habits. You're used to thinking a certain way and it's comfortable for you and it's gotten you this far. Good or bad, it's gotten you this far. I mean, it's a well-worn groove, you know? Like, why do you brush your teeth with your right hand or your left hand? Why do you do that? It's just because it's what you do, right? Until you consciously think about it, why would you change it? It makes no sense, right? It's
Right.
like, well, is the juice worth the squeeze? Sometimes people don't have the faith in themselves that they can A, change, or B, it'll be worth it. Um, but when you can create, I guess, possibility for people and hope that, you could have more, you could have better, you could have different, but you have to be different in order to have different. Because if you are the same and you wish to create different with the same that got you the life you have, you're expecting the wrong thing.
Melinda Whitsock, host of the podcast Wings of Inspired Business, which has over 1 million downloads, said of you, quote, she's engaging, inspiring, and a force of nature who's changing the world, unquote. And you said of yourself, quote, I am trying to make a difference in this world and make it better, much better before my last breath, unquote. How are you able to do that, make such a positive difference for so many people in, unfortunately, a pretty negative world?
Um, well, I'm doing it in a bunch of different ways. Largely, I like to meet people where they are. So across the three companies, I'm able to create change and create a positive impact. Like with my first company, I was helping moms and dads put their kids through college by helping their businesses be successful. It takes a lot of work to be an entrepreneur. And I've been working with small businesses my whole career, and I love it because, I mean, yeah, I can help that corporate CEO get another private jet, but it's a bit more inspirational to me to see a mom and dad put their kid through college because I made a difference. So that I've been doing since the very beginning. But then, with the book, I mean, I had one of my readers write a beautiful review on Amazon about my book and how he was suicidal before he read my book. And he did the work that I prescribed, and now he's no longer suicidal and he's actually happy. So that helped me to make a positive impact. And I mean, I didn't even realize until after, like long after he bought and read the book. I didn't even know he bought it. It was months later. He just stunned me with this beautiful revelation of all these words. And I work with my clients one-on-one, and I challenge their beliefs of what they're capable of. And I give people a reason to believe in themselves again and just like question their assumptions. And it's like, well, you've been thinking that you're an incapable loser. I think you're mistaken. What can we do to fix that? And I don't know, I love talking to people about the deep, dark, and ugly, as I call it, the stuff that's like really deep inside of us, that holds us back. Because it's not the surface stuff. It's not the reason. Like if I asked you today, like, oh, what holds you back? You're going to give me some BS reason that's
Sure.
likely false. The real reason is below that. And my job is to get to that. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's just a passing conversation with someone. And nowadays I'm very active on LinkedIn, and, I communicate with people one-on-one. And if I can make a difference that way, good. I mean, being on your show and other shows where I get to talk about, the things that really matter to people, that makes an impact. I mean, you can make an impact everywhere. I mean, even in the Second Amendment space with ammo, you'd be like, well, what kind of an impact and how are you doing good in the world? Well, as I said before, the good guys need things to protect their families with, but also a lot of our customers are the middle-aged white conservative fathers. Well, that's largely who our customers are. Do you know what these men need right now? They need confidence, because their confidence has been shaken. Their confidence in themselves, They're constantly being told by society that, oh, you're white, you're a problem. Oh, you're a man, you're a problem, you know? And there's all this stuff about toxic masculinity where men don't feel comfortable being real men anymore. And I'm really proud to be that person who unites a community of people who feel like misfits, who actually aren't, who just need to remember how powerful they are, how sovereign they are, how awesome they are, how much their families need them, and what an important part of society they are, and to use their voices. So, yeah, I think I make an impact every single day, and I'm glad that I do.
Quote, I'm very demanding and I don't accept excuses from people, especially from myself. I have a heart of gold. I lead with my heart. I'm passionate. I am compassionate. I hate long winded stories and crave the bottom line up front, unquote. It's obviously to me that you're pretty tough. And you said, especially, that you're tough on yourself. But I know
Yep.
that you obviously, it's come through also that you have a big heart. And I'm sure that does come through when you're working with people, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, I appreciate you saying that. Um, I think that's the reason why when I work with my clients, they generally enjoy the process, even if I accidentally reduce them to tears, because they're tears that need to come out. They're not me hurting their feelings. It's the feelings were hurt long ago, and I finally give the permission for the tears to flow and hold space for them. And I think that um you can't be as honest as I am without having a really big heart to go with it. Otherwise, you're just an a-hole. And, I think that the way to really affect change within a person is to love them, love them, love them, love them. Like give them so much compassion and so much kindness because they're not doing it for themselves. They're not giving themselves kindness, compassion, belief, advocacy, nothing. They're like devoid of all the things that they've needed since they came in this world. Like it's like we skipped out on the memo that, like, okay, when you leave mom and dad, or mom or dad, or grandma, or whoever raised you, when you leave and they're not parenting you anymore, you need to parent you. Nobody told us that, but it's integral. We need to parent ourselves. So again, I keep saying in my book, I talk about how we need to be a nurturing parent to ourselves. Like the mean bully sounds like, oh, you can't do that, you suck. Meanwhile, that voice will always be in our head, right? And it's just, what other people say of us. That's what mean kids on the schoolyard would say, but the nurturing parent would say, I believe in you. You can do this. Look at all the great stuff you've done already. Just try. And even if you don't win, it's okay. You learned something powerful. Come on, go give it a shot. You can do it. I'm scared. That's okay. Get going. You do scary things every day. Right. And it's like those two voices, we get to choose which one we nurture. Grass grows where you water it. Do you want to encourage that mean bully that's in your head, or do you want to encourage the nurturing parent? My book is all about, and my work and my life and my coaching and everything is all about being the nurturing parent to yourself, but also to others. And, speaking to yourself differently. Like, you can do hard things. You made it this far and you've got 100% success rate at not dying. Like, keep it up. you know?
My psychologist that I had years ago used to say to me, there's a point in time where your parents end and you begin. And
Mm,
that always stuck with me throughout. And that just sort of goes back to what you were just talking about, how about parenting yourself, that you got to be able to break away. You can't blame them for everything for so long. There's some point in time where you are in control of your own destiny in your life.
absolutely. Yeah, you have to be. I mean, I figured this out, I think in my 20s. Of course, I was very rebellious of the message and the lesson. It was late 20s, let's be clear. Um, but like we need to be the ones that say to us, yeah, you can't have the entire half gallon of ice cream. That's self-parenting. The are you sure you want to stay up till 4? You have to go to work tomorrow. Like that's self-parenting. It's like when we make the right choice and we take care of ourselves as if we were someone else. I mean, Jordan Peterson even talks about it, I think, in his book, 12 Rules for Living or Life or something like that. It's a great book. I actually met him. That was fun. Very nice man. And
I saw your picture
take
together.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But like, you have to take care of yourself. Like, you're taking care of someone that you're responsible for because, pro tip, you are. I mean, he's so right about that. And I like the way he phrases that. Like before I ever came across his work, I was like, oh, you need to be the nurturing parent. You need to do this, you need to do that. Um, but I think he phrased it much tidier than I did. And Yeah, I mean, be responsible for you like you would be for someone else. Like you need to take care of you. You need to advocate for yourself, like keep yourself out of harm, make sure you don't make stupid decisions and, like maybe don't clean your gun when there's ammo still in it. Like just good decisions, you know?
Mhm. You said, quote, in 2019, I was retiring from my first career. I thought I had it all. I had won several awards, made a whole bunch of money, retired early, and by all accounts had made it. But I was miserable. I thought I'd done everything right, only to discover that I was just chasing a whole bunch of highs instead of finding happiness. I got pissed, y'all. I felt entirely and utterly ripped off. I wanted better, unquote. All those accolades and money obviously didn't do it for you. When you figure that out, how did you
Mhm.
use that, maybe that little bit of anger about it, that you felt to your advantage?
Well, that's where the 6 habits came from. I want to be really clear. I did not write the book for me. I actually wrote the book for everybody else because the thing that preceded it was me studying human behavior, creating a 90-day program for myself because I had studied habit formation and the science behind it. And it takes at least 66 days to form a new habit, where you repetitiously do something, even if it's awkward. Like if you want to have the habit of, let's say, brushing your teeth with the left hand, you have to do it for at least 66 days of brushing your teeth with the left hand. And eventually you'll be ambidextrous and you'll be able to do it with both, right? And it's just easy for you to do one versus the other, but like you have to actually do it. So I built this whole thing for myself based on the logic that, oh, it's not what people have and it's not necessarily what they do that makes them happy people. It's actually how they think and their general approach to life. That's what makes a person happy. It's none of this other stuff. Well, that's easy enough. Thoughts are free. Can I change it? So I decided to see if I could change my thinking. I was so massively successful and I became much happier, much more self-confident, feeling a lot more brave, filled with honestly hope and possibility and enthusiasm. I mean, shoot, I moved to an island in the middle of the Pacific away from my parents and my family and my friends. And, like it's just, I became the best version of myself because I did all this work. And the book was written because I really deeply wanted to share this with other people. Um, I couldn't imagine keeping something this awesome to myself. It actually started because I really wanted to just share everything that I had found with just a few people in my life who meant the world to me, but I knew they didn't know. And I wanted to like build a case for it and make some good examples. And I was just like, I'm just going to write a little bit, turns into 20,000 page or words. And I'm just like, wait, how long is a book? About 55,000 words. Really? Well, shoot, like almost halfway there. What if I just kept going and shared this thing with everybody? So that's where it started. And I was so delighted when I actually finished the manuscript, decided to self-publish and do a launch and get it out there. And man, it's been such a trip. It's been a real awesome experience to um be able to share this wisdom with other people and I guess create possibility for folks because people sometimes feel hopeless. And they're like,
It's,
oh, I just got to do the same stuff every day. Do you? I don't think so.
it's a choice.
It's totally a choice.
Strategy and methodology leader and banking professional Trent Christensen said of you, quote, she has such a unique way of approaching her clients' needs and assessing their opportunities. When she first gave me her overall assessment, she had a way of connecting the key points with me at such a deep level that it transformed a 41-year-old way of thinking into a profoundly impactful and authentic mindset. It has expanded my mind, optionality, potentials, and motivations, unquote. Both people who have interviewed you, both people who've interviewed you and those that you've coached and worked with have said, so many wonderful things about you. What has it meant to you in your overall career? Is it many people that you've helped out and you've seen them grow and succeed? How does that feel?
Amazing. I mean, I was the kid who struggled to make friends and feel like I had any value in the world. And to be able to, grow up and make people happy and do nice things and help people to go on, do cool things that make them happy. It's really cool. I mean, I kind of wish that I could like take me of today and just go visit like my 8-year-old self and just be like, girl, you're going to do great things. Don't worry if these losers don't like you right now. They suck. Like, doesn't matter. Like, this is really useful for you to experience this so you know compassionately what other people experience so you can really serve from a place of knowing. So take your time. You're going to be okay. And someday you're going to make people happy. Just not today.
You said, quote, nobody respects a bullshitter. Owning that you don't know while committing to finding the answers earns respect and stature, unquote. I'm sure there have been obviously many times in your life when you haven't had all the answers, as it is with all of us. Over your
Mhm.
long career, how did you continue and how do you continue to learn, educate yourself, and absorb everything positive you can so you can continue to help more people?
Well, you got to stay curious and you got to stay humble. I mean, I think we can all do this. I mean, I'm not a bullshitter. Um, I if I don't know something and people are like, "Oh, well, do you know how to do this?" No, but I will find out. Sit tight. I'll be back with you. I mean, I remember when I was really young, I kind of was a bullshitter a little bit. Like I would go to a sales meeting and I wanted to make the sale. So they'd be like, "Hey, can you build me this, this, and this?" And I'd be like, "Uh-huh." And then I would go home and Google furiously, "How do you do this?" It was more like telling the truth in advance. So I don't know if it was entirely bullshit, maybe like baby bullshit, but like I did deliver every time. I always managed to teach myself things. But I think that you keep growing by being curious. Like if you say something really like interesting to me that I've never heard before, like my ear is always attuned to different. And I like getting curious and asking people about their lives. Like you're interviewing me. If the tables were turned, I'd have a million questions for you too. Like I like to know what makes people tick. And I'm fascinated by psychology and like, well, why are you the way that you are? Like, who hurt you? Like, I want to know what
Right.
happened. Um, but I think, the second part of your question is like, how do I focus on getting all this happy, positive stuff? Honestly, it's by ingesting a lot of the negative and having like a good contrast. I mean, I don't isolate myself at all. Like my auntie is famous for sticking her head in the sand like an ostrich. And she's like, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news since like 1968. It's like, okay. Um, I think that without darkness, there is no light. There's no such thing. And you need to have both in your life, but you also can't just wallow in the darkness or wallow in the negative. I really believe that you need to intentionally decide, um, I like the light. It feels better. It's warmer. Um, can I get curious about that? I want more of that warm and fuzzy feeling. I like that. How can I manufacture that? And just constantly push yourself a little bit more. And I guess being really self-aware really helps. I mean, this is one of the things I help my clients to do is to be really super mindful of where you are. Like if you were my client, and you're like, Laura, I'm really depressed. Well, one of the first things I'd want to know is, okay, why? What's bugging you? And if you don't know, we're going to have to do a lot to help you to be remarkably self-aware so you can be like, oh, well, I notice I'm really sad on Sundays. Interesting. Okay, why are you sad on Sundays? What is it about Sunday? And then like just dig. Like the thing about curiosity is it encourages you to like dig for something. I got this from my mother, whom I love dearly, but she annoys me because she asks like 55 rapid fire successive questions. Because she always wants to understand and like get to the root of something, mostly because she's just curious and she likes a good story, and I don't tell good stories according to her. But I use that skill to be very curious about what's the origin, what is the genesis problem that really needs solving. Is it like, let's say, hypothetically, let's say you're like, I really, I'm sad and I'm depressed on Sundays. I would follow that breadcrumb trail all the way down to the conclusion of you're sad on Sundays because you hate your job, and you hate your job because you've never had a raise and you don't have a raise because you never asked for one, and because you stay in a company because you don't believe in yourself. And at the end of the day, your real problem is you don't love you and you've denied yourself self-acceptance. And that is the real genesis problem. So thank you to your mother and father who crapped on you your whole life and told you that you ain't going to amount to nothing. Now let's undo that and re-script the whole damn thing.
Love it.
I'm just making things up. Maybe you like Sundays. I don't know.
Love it. Let's talk about your book. Your book, The 6 Habits, practical tools for bringing your dreams to life. It was published, I believe, in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, if you've ever dreamed of a bigger, more abundant life, this is your invitation to begin living it right now, unquote. I'm about a third of the way through the book right now, and I love it so far. And, I don't want
Oh,
you to
good.
share too much, because I want people to go online and buy your book, but just tell us a little bit about, I know you've shared some of it, but what really inspired you, to write this book? You wanted to help people, and what's it meant to you?
Well, I mean, the inspiration was really service to other people. I mean, if I found the holy grail of how to be happy, I want you to have it too. That's the thing about happiness. You want to talk about a pandemic. How about a pandemic of smiles? That sounds fun, right?
Yeah.
No vaccinations necessary, no lockdowns necessary. Everybody be free and hug each other. Kumbaya. Like, happiness is contagious and it's freaking awesome, man. So, I really deeply wanted to just share this with other people. And, I did a TED talk. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was definitely a lot of fun to be able to do that. A lot of work too, to take one huge idea and distill it down into like 12 minutes. It's like, what?
Wow.
It was really hard, especially because there's 6 aspects to my idea. So it was like a lot of pressure. But what it's meant to me is an opportunity to actually do something important with my life. Like I've never desired to be important. I've always desired to do important. And I've said that many times. And, one of the things that this has really afforded me an opportunity to do is like really make a profound impact on people's lives. They get to see themselves differently. Um, Companies are created now and jobs are being created. And it's like the butterfly effect. You make one small change over here and then you end up changing the whole damn ecosystem. And that's my goal. Like, I'll probably never go down in the history books as anybody of note. I doubt I'll even have a Wikipedia page, but you don't need to make one impact. That young man that I saved from suicide, I don't know what the future was going to hold for him, but I do know he's a nurse, and lives will be saved because he went to work instead of killing himself. So maybe I saved more than just his life. And I got one client I'm working with who read my book, loved it, and we started working together. Um, she's gone on to create a company where she's empowering women in the corporate workspace, and she's helping people to ask for raises. And I mean, I think about the cascading impact of that. Like, she's helping all these women to have a better career. What that means is they're able to make more money. They're able to accelerate in their careers. They're able to ascend the corporate ladder. So what that means at home is they're raising their daughters to do the same. So we're like, my work is having a butterfly effect, ripple impact to the children of this woman's clients, because now these little girls are growing up and their mommy is their hero because mommy stands up for herself. And it's so amazing, all because my client had the courage to finally start that business and finally start that podcast that she was so afraid to do. And like when you give people their courage to sometimes just live their life and keep on living it and wake up another day, or do something audacious and scary, I mean, you never know the people you're going to affect. I mean, my goal is to see this world be kinder, gentler, more agreeable, and people. I mean, sorry to sound kumbaya, but I'd like to see people get along, and it starts with us. Like, if I hate myself, I can't get along with you because I hate you because I hate me. But if I love me and you and I have different opinions, then I am curious and enthusiastic about your opinion because it's so different. And I'm not threatened by different. I like different. I'm like, wow, why do you feel that way? What was your life like that led you to this opinion? Can I tell you about my life that led me to my opinion? I wonder if we can learn from each other. I wonder if we could improve each other's opinions and add more texture. I wonder if we could solve a world problem. Like, this is how politicians work when they're actually trying to do something good and they're made of the good stuff. It's why people decide to rise up and create schools and, solve problems overseas. It all comes from inspiration. But if you are living a shitty life, you're not inspired to do anything except sit on your couch and pick your belly button lint.
No, I believe that you have, two cats and a dog. I know
Yes.
that there's your dog Bella, who you call your quote best office buddy ever, and there's your
Except when
cat.
she barks in podcast interviews.
Yeah, I have mine around me right now. Thankfully, they're being very quiet. I have three miniature schnauzers, and they're awesome.
Huh.
You have your cat Remy, who you also call Mr. Baby Toes, and I don't know your
Yeah.
other cat's name.
Serafina.
Okay, Serafina.
They all
What?
have a thousand nicknames. Bella, she's Bella Poo Poo, Poopy Pants, Tinkle Pants, because she likes to pee on the floor because she's a senior citizen. She's so disgusting. But like Remy, Baby Toes, Mr. Fuzzy Pants, like just the cutest little things. Then Serafina, Serafufu, Minnie Kitty, stuff like that. She's very little.
What have they brought to your life?
Oh my gosh. They've brought inspiration to my life, actually. I mean, they're very like they're fuzzy little Zen masters. They really are. Like my dog is, I don't know, like she's not my whole life, but I'm her whole life. And
Right.
being able to be with her since she was a tiny little baby and just travel this whole journey with her. And now she's an elderly old lady. It's taught me a lot about patience and growing with someone, be they canine or human. And just, commitment, really. And the cats are both young. I mean, I adopted one when we were living on Maui. I thought I was going to wait a month. I lasted a whole week after we got there. I was like, okay, can we go kitty shopping? But Serafina, I was actually out snorkeling, like out in the middle of nowhere, and I was going back to my car, and I just meow meow. I heard this little tiny voice, and I rescued her. I saved her from the middle of nowhere, and she was just screaming her poor little heady off. And she's so little. She was only 4 weeks old when I found her, and she was
Oh,
starving to death. She was literally emaciated. You could feel every little bone in her body. I could see and feel her ribs and her whole spine and everything. It was horrible. Um, well, guess what? She's a very healthy, ever so slightly chubby kitty now, so I may have overcorrected. But she's safe and she's wonderful, and she spoons me in the mornings, and she likes to saddle up on me like I'm a little horsey. And you know, I don't know, they're just so chill. I mean, they teach me so much about presence. And yes, I wrote about that in the book. That's one of the habits. Um, but damn, they're good at it. They're good at it. They don't have taxes and mortgages and jobs and phones. My cat will take one look at the sunbeam and she's like, yes, yes. And she'll just go and sit in the sunbeam and just nap and just really soak it up and fully just be with the moment. The moment I sit on my bed, she's like follows me around like a fuzzy little gray shadow. And if I sit on my bed and I'm, on my stomach, on my back, on my side, she saddles up on me every single time. And I'm like, well, hi there, you fuzzy little sandbag. And I don't know. It's just, they bring joy, they bring comfort, they bring perspective, they bring a lot. I mean, a lot of people regard them as just dumb animals, which is a tragic mistake.
yep.
Or, they're just, oh, it's just a pet. Is it though? Like you can deeply connect with any creature if you try hard enough. And, I have a deep relationship with these little creatures. I have deep relationship with all creatures, to be honest with you. My friends call me Snow White. Like we have frogs all over my yard. They'll just hop on me. I've had one like land on my nose. I can, lizards will just hop on my hand. Like, I don't know what it is. They just probably know I'm not a threat. Um, God is in nature. God created nature. It's just like, if you ever want to be like, oh, I don't know God, dude, just look out your window. Like, assuming you're not in Manhattan, that piece of advice works.
Right.
Because like God's masterpieces are all around us. And for God slash universe, whatever you believe, like, to just see and witness this beauty and this miracle of life, so abundant and perfect and in perfect harmony and complicated and simple all at the same time. And just, it's magic. And to actually witness and be part of that and not take it for granted, it's pretty awesome.
Quote, today is my dad's birthday. I get to spend it in Massachusetts with him and Mamacita in Massachusetts, having fun, playing games, baking goodies, drinking wine, and watching all the silly squirrels that come to the back door begging for nuts. Couldn't be more grateful for this amazing life with these awesome people who support me and love me and all my wacky shenanigans. I'm super lucky. I know it, and I'm grateful. Unquote. The first dedication in your book was also, to your parents. Tell us
Mhm.
just a little bit more about them and the influence they've had on your life.
Oh, shoot. Well, my parents are really interesting people. Um, I like them. They're pretty great. They're not just like mom and dad, but they're multidimensional people who have their own thoughts and feelings and views of the world, and they're ever so slightly curmudgeonly, and I don't know, they're very unapologetic in who they are. And I've learned a lot from that. My dad is a big kid. He has yet to grow up and he's almost 80. I love that. He's so curious. I love that. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, they're both my heroes, but for different things. Like my dad has this zeal for life that I just admire and I want to definitely have my whole life. His mother was the same way. She's no longer with us, but I definitely come rightly by it. And then my mom is just, she was a very like conscientious, hardworking, defend your family, um, do what needs to be done type of person. My dad is also a do what needs to be done type of person. I mean, he's always say like, oh, when you got a family and you lose your job, you shovel shit if you have to. And I'm like, well, gross, dad, but okay. Like I get it now that I'm older. And yeah, I don't know. I just they're almost 80 and I'm certainly acutely aware of what the future holds and them not being in it. So I try to enjoy as much time with them as I possibly can. Um, so I don't know. They inspire me. They love me. I love them. They're actually a lot of fun. And both of them have an absolutely wicked sense of humor. It's delightful. Absolutely delightful. I mean, my mom is so funny. She's 79 and like couple of years ago, we were out at a restaurant and the server was being an absolute insufferable dirtbag. And the lady turns around to walk away, and my mom just like flips her off. I'm like, wow, you're 77. Never lose your spunk, lady.
That's awesome. Your husband, Amadeo, you said, quote, he's also a huge animal lover, is starting to develop a fine repertoire of dad jokes. He calls his grandmother every Sunday, and he has an absolutely evil sense of humor that makes me laugh every single day of my life. He does funny impressions and is genuine and weird. I love this guy, unquote. How did you guys meet? And tell us about your life together.
Well, we met in Boston. It was at an event. I met him. I was a member of the Massachusetts Restaurant Association, and they were having a big rooftop pool party. It's just one of their networking events, and he was working at the restaurant. He was the GM, and I lived an hour outside of the city, and I needed to go to this thing, and I had a meeting, and then I had a meeting cancel. So then I was just sitting around with 2 hours with nothing to do. I'm just like, well, I'm here. I might as well just get a drink at the bar. And it just so happened, as fate would have it, serendipity. The bartender had called out that day. So he was behind the bar. And man, we just talked and we had a just an unbelievable connection. And our relationship now, it's I don't know, it's very like comfortable. It's very like it's challenging in some ways because we work together. But it's very comfortable because we can just laugh together over silly things, and like, I don't know, I just appreciate just like his sense of humor and his just ease with like just letting things be what they are. Like I never ever feel like I need to be that woman who needs to get like breast implants or get like a tummy tuck or this or that. Like I never feel like I need to do things to change who I am or how I show up. He's really, really good at loving me exactly as is. And in fact, some, I mean, like being on camera, you have to put more makeup on than you would normally put so you can actually see it. And it's always been that way. But like, he's always the one who tells me, he's like, you look really beautiful, but I also enjoy you the way you wake up. Just a loving reminder. And I'm like, oh, thanks. It's just really sweet. He's I mean, he's really, really good with the pets. He's really sweet with my parents. I mean, really, really sweet. He's like encouraging them to move down in with us. And we like to do adventures together. He's like a very like, I don't want to do anything, or let's do adrenaline pumping, like heart pumping type of stuff. So he's taken me on some very insane adventures, and I love them, and they scare me a little bit, and that's good. Like, yeah, I'm never bored. I'm never bored.
Talk about serendipity, and I talk about a lot of times the power of a moment. You having those meetings cancel and you being there, that was supposed to happen. You finding that, going snorkeling and the cat coming up and approaching you and you hearing the cat, that was supposed to happen. You were exactly where you were supposed to be at those moments.
I completely agree with you. In fact, I've deeply believed that. Like, I definitely believe that the way that human beings understand a soul is not the way it is. And I believe that, it's not necessarily a one to one. Sometimes a soul can be a blend of a couple of different souls. And I had a cat for 15 years who died right before I moved to Maui with Amadeo. And my God, my heart was broken. He was my best little buddy. And like, there was just a deep connection there. Like, he was my pal, my pal. And when he died, I felt a huge hole. But I spoke to someone who, really taps into the whole spiritual realm and everything. And she's like, yeah, he'll be back. I was like, okay. So, and it also wasn't his first time to be with me in this life. He's just my life companion. And, he is inside Serafina again. And I mean, souls don't have genders. So all the, silly gender and pronoun bullshit
Right.
we humans do, it doesn't matter at the soul level. There's no such thing. It's just a human construct of, whatever squishy bits are between your legs. Um, and that same soul, I know with concrete conviction, is inside Serafina, but also there's little sprinklings of another soul in there as well that's like uniquely different. And I recognized his soul footprint immediately. And like, I bawled my eyes out when I realized. I was like, oh my God, it's you. Oh my God. And it was like, oh, I'm going to rescue this kitty and bring it to the shelter. Bullshit.
Right.
But like, I also knew that I would meet Amadeo too. I mean, and you know, unbeknownst to me, like, I had been dreaming about him for years. So like, when I was in my 20s, and unfortunately, way before I got to meet him, like, I'd been dreaming about him. And even when I was married to my first husband, I just would have this recurring figure in my dreams that was exactly who my husband is, and not necessarily what he looks like, but all his characteristics and our relationship. And, the fact that he's from Italy and he would sing in Italian like a crazy person around the house. And he does, and he would cook, and he would have fine manners and have excellent taste and defend me to the death. And like sweep me off my feet and like show me really what a life of passion is and stuff like that. Like, I always thought, I was like, why do I always dream of this weird person? Who's this creep in my dream? Right. And it's just like, never really thought much of it. And then when I met him, I was like, oh yeah, this guy's cool, whatever. And it was like, I don't know, a month or two in, and it was the same thing. Oh my God, it's you. And he had a same realization. He had always, envisioned like what it would be like to propose to his wife. And he always had that same vision, that same vision, that same vision. And then, he told me about it. We'd been together for like a year and a half, I think, when he proposed. And he's like, I've always had this vision ever since I was like 18 years old. And I could never see the woman's face. I could never see the woman's face. It's you. You are her. I have been dreaming of you. And I'm like,
That's
this stuff's
awesome.
amazing. Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
that goosebump
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. What are the most important lessons that you've learned in life?
geez, I don't know. Eat your peas.
Haven't heard that one.
Most important, they're all important.
Right.
Don't eat yellow snow. I mean, that's a valuable lesson. I mean, all depends. Shit. I'll tell you one of the most useful lessons that won't relate to everybody, but I live in a 2-story home, and since my dog is now incontinent and we have tile floors, thank God. Tread carefully when you descend the stairs. Make sure that you look before you step. Very valuable wisdom. It's disgusting, but it's true. My poor husband, he accidentally stepped in a puddle of doggy pee at the bottom of the stairs, fell down, cracked open his coconut, bleeding everywhere.
Ooh.
So that was a lesson I learned by observation. He learned the hard way. So now we're both like looking down real carefully. I'd love to give you some big pearls of wisdom, but like we've been talking for an hour and a half. I think I've given you a lot. Why not a fun one?
Yeah, absolutely. How can people get in touch with you online if they're interested in doing coaching with you, and how can they find your book if they want to buy it?
Well, there's a couple different things. If you can spell it, you can go to lauradbenedetto.com. It will get you to the6habits.com. It will get you to Vision Advertising. It will get you to sovereignammo.com. But if you go to the 6 habits, because you can't spell DiBenedetto, that might be one of the easier ways to do it. It's THESIX habits.com. If you go there and you order a copy of the paperback, I will sign it and I will send it to you. So you can't get that through Amazon. You can get a regular copy without my signature on it from Amazon. Also, it's available on Audible. But you can reach me, like if you wanted to talk to me about coaching, and especially like if you read the book and you really resonate with it and you're like, oh my God, this feels like my life. Shoot me a note through, frankly, any of my websites. It'll get to me. I've got people in all the different places. It'll get to me. So, if you want some help, just pop in your info. We can talk about it. And, I have clients that work with me for just one session, like Trent, for example. He's the guy that wrote that really nice review, or one of the guys that wrote that really nice review on LinkedIn for me. We worked together and we had one really incredible session. He decided he wanted a few more, and that was it. And that's fine. Other people will work with me for a year or two and anywhere in between. So there's no like one size fits all. It's like, what do you need? What do you want? But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm out there. The easiest place, the easiest spelling is the6habits.com.
You have so many positive messages to share. And, for someone to start their first company as a teenager and be in a position to retire by the time they're 37 is such an amazing feat and a huge success story. I'm sure there's going to be many more great things to come for you. And I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for clearly doing your homework. My goodness.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Laura.